Yes, yeah. Good evening, all. So before I start, can anyone please confirm whether my voice is clear, whether the screen is visible or not? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So in yesterday we had introductory session on this, right? Just I'll take 5 minutes what we discussed in the last class. Why data engineer and how data engineer is different from a ETL developer and role of Azure data engineer. Difference between data engineer, data scientist, analyst, and Azure data engineer products or services. Job market of Azure data engineer. Job market of Azure data engineer, right? Yes. So we are discussing this data engineer on a this course on a cloud, Azure cloud, right? What is a cloud? Cloud is majorly utilized for storing, analyzing, and delivering data in various form. So if we talk how this cloud different with on-premises, right? If we talk about on-premises, we need to set up everything. We need to set up our own hardware infrastructure. Again, on top of that OS installation, purchasing of database license and the installation of database server, designing a database objects. To maintain all this, we require separate teams. Again, separate teams are required, like hardware team is required, operating system team is required, networking team is required, security team is required, database administrators, right? Yes. But here everything on the cloud premises, but everything in the cloud premises, right? We no need to maintain all this. We no need to maintain all this, right? So you no need to maintain any infrastructure. You no need to maintain any licenses. You no need to maintain any licenses. Here everything in the cloud environment. Here everything in the cloud environment, right? Yes. See the difference between this Azure data engineer and what is the primary task of Azure data engineers, right? Yes. Data engineers, with the help of the cloud services, they work on the data and make it structured and useful. Data engineers responsible for smooth data flow. They're responsible for smooth data flow from source to destination. Data engineers responsible for preparing the data, for cleansing the data, and transforming the data and processing data, right? Yes. If you see the difference between data engineer, data scientist, and analyst, data scientist mainly is going to strategizes for the future, recommendations for the future, is going to analyze the data, identify the patterns, recommendations for the future. On the other side, data analyst, not for the future, he summarizes the past and visualizing the data of the past. He to analyze the data, but summarize the data of the past and visualize it. Data analyst, recommendations for the future, strategizes for the future. Data analysis, if a data scientist performs data analysis, data predictions, data classification, data clustering, data recommendation. So, so here, right, data scientist, data analyst, and data engineer. And if we talk about this data engineer, right, yes, data engineer does all the groundwork for the data scientist and analyst. So everything dealing with the data or pulling the data or extracting the data or processing the data, handling the data, like filtering the data, transforming it into the required format, and finally dumping the data to the target, everything taken care by data engineer. Does all the groundwork for the data scientist and analyst. More than 70 to 80% of the data analysis work is done by data engineer. Data engineering involves data engineering involves what are the sources of the data, what is the format of the data, what is the format of the data, and how to transform or process the data. What are the sources of data, what is the format of the data, how to transform or process the data, and what is the destination of the data. What are the sources, what is the format, and how to transform and process the data, and what is the destination of the data. Okay, why Azure data engineer is in demand? Why Azure data engineer is in demand today, right? Yes, just check with this before I go with why Azure data engineer is in demand today, right? Data engineer, why Azure data engineer is in demand means If you talk any organization increasing its business revenue depending upon this data available on its website, right? So organization is using Azure for its operation, going to hire two people mainly, like data scientist. One is data scientist and Azure data engineer. Azure data engineer creating a data warehouse for the organization. Azure data engineer is going to create organization for the organization. Data warehouse, the storage of structured data. It contains data from various sources. Data engineer going to structure the data, stores it, and monitors it in data warehouse. And also data engineer will be communicating with the data scientist and business team to know the data requirement. Okay, he has to keep in mind the business needs, business requirement while dealing with the data, right? And also data engineer constantly they are going to process, they are going to analyze the data and monitors the data. He is going to create some data pipelines. Yes, this is the primary role, right? Apart from that, he has got various other roles, right? Yes, role of Azure data engineer, designing entire data flow architecture, creating a data warehouse for storage of analytical data, designing the entire data flow architecture, creating data warehouse for storage of analytical data, ETL, extract, transform, load, extract, transform, load. So yeah, extract ETL is one of the key process of Azure data engineer, right? He's going to extract the data. He's going to from different sources. He is going to extract the data from multiple sources, structure them, and load them into the company's storage service. And also like data monitoring, one of the key tasks. See that to ensure that ETL is performed in a proper way and data is available anywhere it is required. Data security, it's major responsibility of data engineer. The data need to be secure at each step of the process without any data leaks or data exposures. Collaboration and communication, right? Collaboration and communication. They have to constantly communicate with the business teams and also with the data scientist to deliver the data as per the requirement. Analytics, certain things. So the data engineers analyze and transform the data into structured and useful format. So they need to have strong analytical and mathematical skills for performing this analysis. And automation, certain thing has to be automated, right? Certain process has to be automated. Example, like extraction process, which requires minimal human intervention, right? Yes. I was talking about various data engineering products. I was talking about various data engineering products or services. Azure SQL, Azure Data Lake, Azure Synapse Analytics, Azure Data Factory, Azure Databricks, Azure Streaming, Azure Cosmos DB, Azure Key Vault. See, Azure SQL, it's a cloud or DBMS database. In a simple way, Azure SQL, cloud or DBMS. It's a cloud or DBMS of Microsoft in Azure. It is for OLTP operations. OLTP system captures end user transactions. It is not for data warehouse. Next is Azure Data Lake. Azure Data Lake, some distributed file system. I can say some distributed file system with unlimited data storage in cloud. That is what data lake. Already, if you have knowledge on this big data Hadoop, there we have got HDFS. We have got HDFS. HDFS, right? HDFS is an on-premise DFS. HDF Hadoop distributed file system, right? It is a On-premise DFS, Hadoop distributed file system. Okay, but Azure Data Lake, it's a cloud DFS, cloud distributed file system. Cloud distributed file system, right? Now, I can say Azure Data Lake. Azure Data Lake, it is a repository, I can say. It is a repository. It is a repository for large varieties, right? Structured, large varieties of structured, unstructured, large varieties of structured, unstructured, and semi-structured. Repository for large varieties, right? Large varieties of structured, unstructured, semi-structured. Repository for large varieties of structured, unstructured, and semi-structured data. Okay. So here Azure Data Lake and okay, every cloud data lake provides some benefits. Understand? Every cloud data lake provides some benefits. Understand? One is unlimited data storage. Unlimited data storage. Secondly, supports all varieties. Supports all varieties of data. All varieties of data in the sense structured data, unstructured data, and semi-structured data. Structured data means like database tables, Excel files. Semi-structured data means like XML files, JSON files. Unstructured data like images, videos, raw text, all this, right? And also supports all formats of data. Supports all formats of data. Supports for all formats of data. All formats means like any type of data like CSV files, JSON files, XML files, Excel files, ORC files, like tar files, zip files, right? All types of file formats, right? So generally here in Azure Data Lake, data is in the form of files. Data is stored in the form of files. If data is in the form of files, we cannot set up relationships. We cannot set up relationships between the files. For example, can you see these file names? For example, you have got some emp.txt file, department.txt files, attendance.txt file, and for example, salaries.txt files. They are files. You cannot maintain relationship between the files. But if you have got a data in the form of tables, we can set up relationship between the tables. For example, you got orders table is there. Sales transactions is there. Sales transactions. Customers. Products. So you got some kind of tables like this. Can you maintain relationship? Yes. Generally, what is the relationship? Order of what? A product. Product booked for whom? A customer. A customer, once order confirmed, it is a sales transaction. Understand here? Order of what? A product. Product booked for whom? A customer. A customer, once order confirmed, sales transaction. Once if data is in the form of tables, so we can have relationship. So what I'm expecting? I'm expecting a cloud or DBMS, right? A cloud or DBMS. Yes. Cloud or DBMS that too used for data warehouse. I'm expecting Cloud or DBMS, that too used for data warehouse, that too I'm expecting. That too I'm expecting. Parallel processing, that too I'm expecting parallel processing. So that is nothing but Azure Synapse Analytics. That what we see all these things in Azure Synapse Analytics. It's a single stop solution for all these things, right? So I'm expecting that to a RDBMS. But you may say RDBMS means already we got Azure SQL, but that is for OLTP, not for data warehouse. That to use for data warehouse. That too I'm expecting a parallel processing. There's nothing but Azure Synapse Analytics, right? This is what Azure Synapse Analytics. Yesterday, just I was giving overview on it. Azure Synapse for data warehouse operations, for big data operations, for analytics, for batch processing, and for parallel processing. So here, if I talk on this Azure Synapse Analytics, here we have a database. Here we have a database called Azure Synapse. Azure Synapse SQL Pool DB. Simply we say like Synapse DB. Simply we call it as Synapse DB. What is Synapse DB? Synapse DB, Cloud Data Warehouse. It is Cloud Data Warehouse of Azure. Cloud Data Warehouse of Azure. When to go for, okay. See, generally when to go for Azure data, like when to go for Azure Synapse means if data is structured, Azure Synapse. If data is unstructured or semi-structured, go for data lake. So later we discuss in brief about these things, right? Next is Azure Data Factory. Azure Data Factory, just I was saying in a single word in the last class, means in the demo session. It's a cloud ETL, just like we had Informatica, like the same way, cloud-based ETL, that is on-premises, but these are cloud-based. Simply cloud ETL or cloud-based ETL of Microsoft in Azure. Like, for example, if you want to say about this Azure Data Factory, we have got OLTP systems. We have got OLTP systems, right? OLTP systems, right? Examples of OLTP systems. So in the case of this Azure SQL is there. It's for OLTP for daily usage. And Oracle, if you talk on premises, or even MySQL or SQL Server, uh, MongoDB, examples of OLTP. For example, say examples of data warehouse, for example, like stores historical data. So in the case of Azure, we have got Azure Synapse, Azure Synapse. And in the case of on-premises, if you have an idea about Teradata, Netija, specialized databases used for data warehouse, right? Teradata, Netija, Vertica. These are for data warehouse. Vertica, right? Yes. Now, if you talk about ADF, Azure Data Factory, ADF ADF doesn't come in OLTP, it doesn't come in OLTP. ADF doesn't come in data warehouse. It comes between these two, not OLTP, not data warehouse. Between these two, you can see ADF. It acts as an integration service between these two. It acts as an integration service between these two OLTP systems and data warehouse systems. In the middle, you can see, right? Between OLTP and data warehouse, pulling the data from OLTP and dumping into this data warehouse. Who does it? ADF, ETL, extracting. Dump the data, that is extracting the data from this OLTP systems, dumps into data warehouse in an understandable way, right? For example, ADF is a integration service between OLTP and data warehouse systems. What is that? ADF is a integration service between OLTP systems and data warehouse systems. So it is a data integration service. Generally, if we talk all transactions, generally all transactions are captured where? All transactions captured at OLTP systems, How to bring these transactions, into warehouse system. How to bring these transactions into warehouse system. If we have ETL, how to bring these transactions into warehouse system? We have ETL by using ETL tools. How to bring the transactions right into warehouse system using ETL tools. By using ETL tools means we have got many ETL tools. Informatica is the one, or data stage is the one, Talent, Informatica, data stage, Talent. All these are on-premise. All these are on-premise ETL tools. All these are on-premise ETL tools. But I need a ETL, but I need a ETL on cloud. That is what? ADF. But I need a ETL on cloud. Yes. Being it, getting sound. But I need a ETL on cloud. That is what? ADF. Using ADF, we can connect with cloud databases. Using ADF, we can connect and extract data from different, we can connect with cloud databases, non-cloud databases, NoSQL databases. NoSQL databases, right? So cloud databases, non-cloud databases, NoSQL databases. NoSQL means not only SQL, like we have got many NoSQL databases. Here also in the cloud, we have got Cosmos DB, right? Yes. So here it is ETL. Here it is ETL, extracting, transforming, or loading, but our working style is ELT. But our working style ELT means extract, load, and transform. Extract, load, and transform. Extract, load, and transform. So generally ETL for small volumes, of data. ELT for large volumes, for huge volumes of data. For huge volumes of data, right? Yes. So for huge volumes, ETL is bad. So we go for ELT. So this is something about ADF. Here it's the zero coding ETL. One more important thing, right? Here ADF is a zero coding ETL. Even in the case of Informatica, these things, right? You will be seeing 80% drag and drop, 20% you will be writing SQL scripts. ADF is zero coding, 100% drag and drop. Zero coding ETL we see, no prerequisites, everything drag and drop. We don't need to write a single line of code. Everything we will be performing the task by drag and drop only. 100% drag and drop. No coding at all in ADF, right? In the data engineering, in our data engineering course, first we'll be discussing about ADF. There is no prerequisites, zero coding, everything will perform drag and drop. Fine. Talking about this Azure Databricks is one of the important service. Today, even if you go for this interviews in the data engineering, mainly they'll be testing with Azure Databricks. It's one of the important service in Azure Data Engineering, where it is Apache Spark based data analytics platform. Apache Spark based data analytics platform. Okay. In a simple way, right? Yes. What is a Spark? Spark, just okay. Apache Spark based data analytics platform. Spark. Spark is a very high speed data processing model. It's a very high speed data processing model, data processing engine, you can say, for processing huge data, or which process huge data. It's a very high speed data processing engine, which process huge data for processing huge data, big data, right? At a very high rate of speed. See, if you see the speed of Spark, it's a very high speed data processing engine for processing huge data. Spark is 100 times faster. Spark is 100 times faster. Spark is 100 times faster than normal disk processing. Normal disk processing, right? Lot of tests were already done. Even if you see, there's there is a test done, right? To see the speed of different things. Yahoo has conducted a test. It has taken a table. It has taken a table. It has taken a table of 100 TB consisting of 1024 columns. The task was sorting. The task was sorting based on 16 columns. Based on 16 columns. So time taken by, yes, time taken to handle this, right? See, if we say Oracle, it has taken around 3.5 days to process this. Oracle has taken around 3.5 days. MySQL, it has taken around 6 days. Teradata, a specialized database used for data warehouse, right? It has just taken 4.5 hours. And Netija, a specialized database used for data warehouse, it has just taken 3 hours, right? And finally, Big Data Hadoop. Big Data Hadoop has just taken 3.4 minutes. 3.4 minutes, right? See, these have taken minutes of time, these have taken hours of time, these have taken days of time. But here, Spark is 100 times faster. Spark is 100 times faster than Hadoop MR, Hadoop MapReduce, we say, right? Here in Hadoop, we have got MapReduce execution. So Spark is 100 times faster than Hadoop Map. If it is taken minutes of time, when it is 100 times faster, see the speed of Spark. How much time will it take, right? Where these have taken days, these have taken hours, these have taken minutes, but it is 100 times faster than Hadoop MR, Hadoop MapReduce, right? That is what with a very high speed data processing engine we are going to use in entire Azure data engineering. The execution is going to happen through Spark, Apache Spark. Even in the Azure Data Factory, you won't write any code, but internally execution happening through Spark. Azure Databricks, Spark. Azure Synapse Analytics, Spark. Everywhere you see the execution happening backend with the Spark execution model, right? Okay. It is an execution model to process big data with a very high rate of speed. If you see the major, if you see just as 2 features, also it has got lot of features, Spark features, right? If we can say just 2 features. First thing is in-memory computation. In-memory computation. In-memory computation means storage and processing both happening at the memory level, right? In memory level storage, memory level computation. And second thing, supports MPP. What is MPP? Massive parallel process. What is that? Massive parallel process. Massive parallel process. Okay. Suppose massive parallel process like that. So understand here. Spark to run, Spark to execute requires a cluster. So here I'm talking about Databricks. What is Databricks? What is Databricks? Databricks means provides Spark cluster. Provides a Spark cluster. Spark runs. What is a cluster? What is a cluster? Cluster means group of nodes systems. Group of systems nodes we say. Group of systems nodes connected in a network. Connected in a network. So one will be the master, remaining all will be the slaves, right? So generally cluster group of systems which are interconnected in a network, right? For example, just I'll show you one example. Assume we have 500 nodes. Assume we have 500 nodes. The 500 nodes cluster is worthy processing 2 TB of data at a time. 2 TB of data at a time. Tomorrow your data volume increased. Tomorrow your data volume is increased. For example, I said Spark to run, we require a cluster. Who provides that cluster? Databricks provides it. Cluster means group of systems connected in network. Parallel processing, massive parallel processing means your Spark data will be divided into partitions, distributed across multiple systems, multiple nodes, and are executed parallelly. That we what we call massive parallel process. Your huge data file divided into smaller parts that they are going to be distributed across multiple systems and are processed parallelly. Everything taken care by Spark only. You don't need to do anything here. Yes. If you have got more systems, more speed, right? Assume if you have got 500 systems, 500 nodes, so calculate it is worthy processing. It is worthy processing 2 TB of data at a time. Tomorrow your data volume is increased. If same cluster is used, if tomorrow data volume increased, if same cluster used, if same cluster is used, what is that? You see, speed goes down, right? Speed goes down as data volume increased. Data volume, as data volume increased. So what we do? So generally what we do? So we need to scale up the cluster. So we need to scale up the cluster. Scale up the cluster means increasing the cluster size. By adding, scale up the cluster by adding new nodes, by adding new nodes. Assume 100 nodes added. 100 nodes added. After 2 months, again data increased. Again 100 nodes added. Again 100 nodes added. Every time data increasing, every time the systems or the nodes getting added. Every time, but every time scaling up. Physical data center is a complex task. Yes. Every time scaling up the physical data center is a complex task. So that's why every time scaling up the physical data center is a complex task. So that's why, what's my requirement? So that's why I need the same cluster in the cloud. So every time scaling up physical data center is a complex task. Every time I not keep on adding the systems or the nodes, I need the same cluster in the cloud, and that too with auto scaling feature. That too with auto scaling feature capability. Or that too with auto scaling capability. Who is providing this? Who is providing this? Databricks. Who is providing this? Databricks. Databricks providing Spark Cloud Cluster with auto scaling feature. What is that? Databricks providing Spark cluster. It is providing Spark cluster with auto scaling feature. Automatically, whenever the data load increases, it scales automatically, right? For example, today, for example, today my data load, right, requires 100. It requires 100 nodes. It requires 100 nodes. Yes, tomorrow data volume increased. Yes, tomorrow data volume increased. It has to be extended. It has to be extended 200 automatically. After processing, otherwise when after processing is completed, again it has to revert back. It has to revert back to 100 nodes. This is general Databricks. This is general Databricks. I'm talking about general Databricks, not Azure Databricks. It is general Databricks. It cannot interact. It cannot interact with Azure storages. Azure storages. Azure, otherwise Azure storages or Azure storage services. So we have got Azure SQL, Azure Data Lake, right? Regular Databricks cannot is not compatible with the Azure storage services. That's why Microsoft and Databricks collaboratively launched a new product called Azure Databricks. Right? Yes. So that's why Microsoft and Databricks collaborative launched a new product called Databricks. Right? Okay. So what do you mean by Azure Databricks? Azure Databricks. Finally, Azure Databricks. It is a Spark cluster with auto scaling and compatible with all Azure Azure Data Storage Services, with all Azure Data Storage Services. Okay. So this is what Azure Databricks. I said here we are using Spark. Spark is a very high speed data processing execution model. With a high rate of speed, it is going to process the data. It is 100 times faster than normal disk processing. So during this Azure Databricks, right, ADF is zero coding ETL, but Azure Databricks, right, it is code based. ADF, Azure Data Factory, it is code free. This is code based. We'll be writing some same Python based coding will be there. Python based coding, that to Spark coding will be writing based on Python. We call it like PySpark. Spark with Python language implementation, we call like PySpark, right? Okay. So it is 100 times faster than normal disk processing. So everything, when I start with Azure Databricks, I'll be giving you the prerequisites for this Azure Databricks. Even if you, and even if you're new to this, right? If you not understand this cluster and this cluster, how it is auto scaling, right? Everything during this Azure Databricks, I'll be briefing you with auto scaling feature, right? And as I said, Azure Streaming, I was talking about the other things in the last class. Azure Streaming, like capturing, analyzing, processing high volumes of streaming data. Streaming data means data which keeps on incrementing, data which keeps on generating. Such kind of data we call it as streaming data. That too from multiple sources simultaneously, right? Yes. Okay. Azure Cosmos DB. It is just like a NoSQL database, like MongoDB, that is on-premise, but this is cloud-based NoSQL database. NoSQL means schema-less behavior. SQL means, generally if we talk about SQL, record to record, the same number of columns, fields has to be maintained, but NoSQL, record to record, different number of fields can be maintained. First record with 3 fields, second record with 4 fields, third record with 5 fields, right? Azure Key Vault, secure key management to protect data in the cloud. Fine. Secure key management to protect data in the cloud. So yes. So tomorrow there is a session, same time at 7 o'clock. Tomorrow is a Saturday. So as a continuity, right? So there is a session tomorrow at 7 p.m. same timing, but link will be changing tomorrow. So we'll be starting with the actual things, right? From tomorrow we'll be starting the actual things, introduction to this Azure Data Factory and Data Factory Azure ADF building blocks I'll be discussing. Okay, so tomorrow the link will be changed. You are supposed to get enrolled for getting the link for tomorrow's session. After tomorrow, the next session will be on Monday. Fine. Uh, so before that, you can just check with this course content, right? Azure Data Factory, which has got means Azure Data Engineer. In that first thing, Azure Data Factory. So first overview about all the resources coming to this Azure Data Factory. Top level components here. These are top level components: activities, pipelines, linker services, triggers, pipeline, creating pipelines, organizing pipelines, debugging, publishing pipelines, like linker service creations for different components like SQL database, SQL server, data lake, and Azure storage, right? And data set for different file formats: Avro file, binary file, CSV, Excel, JSON, XML, blob, right? And a table creations, activities, copy data activity, get metadata, filter activity for each activity, different types of activities in this area, and triggers like scheduling, normal scheduled tumbling window, storage event, custom based triggers. That is how we get scheduling, right? And integration runtime, different types of integration runtimes. And the main important concept what we see in data flow, two versions were there in data flow version 1, that sorry, ADF version 1, ADF version 2. In ADF version 1, we have got many prerequisites that you need to have knowledge on this Apache, Hadoop, Pig scripts, stored functions, Databricks, and USQL unified structure. But in ADF version 2, that what we are using currently, no prerequisites, nothing, everything made simple. Everything is drag and drop. We got the concept of data flows, where we see very inbuilt transformations. many transformations: filter transformation, aggregate transformation, join transformation, union, lookup, sort transformation, exist transformation, pivot, unpivot, flattening. So in this way, different types of transformations we have got, we'll be discussing, right? And removing duplicate rows, mapping data flows, slowly changing dimension, SED type 1, type 2, right? And around 50 exercises we'll be discussing in this ADF. These are all the exercises, right, what we'll be discussing practically during this course. And Azure Databricks, just I'll give overview on this big data and Hadoop, and in brief about this Spark. We'll be discussing about Spark, PySpark on the cloud, PySpark, Spark on the cloud environment, right? And the basics of this cloud computing, Azure, right? And if it's check with this, right, Databricks cluster management, displaying cluster, starting cluster, terminating cluster, deleting cluster, cluster logs, different types of cluster, all purpose cluster, job cluster, with pools, without pools, and here auto scaling, multi user clusters, right? Databricks utilities, data utility, file system, job utility, library, notebook, secret, widget, right? Integration with different data lake, Azure SQL, Synapse, Snowflake, handling different file formats, CSV, JSON, Parquet, Excel, XML, ORC, Avro, batch processing, historical data load, incremental, like data transformations, aggregations, chain operations, window functions, Databricks streaming API. What is streaming? Process of streaming using PySpark API, and Databricks Lakehouse, and the introduction to Delta Lake, in features of Delta Lake, how to create Delta table, DML operations, handling SCD type 1, type 2, data deduplications, workflows in Databricks, creating, managing, running this Databricks jobs, Azure Synapse, Azure Synapse Analytics for data warehouse operations, for big data operations, for parallel processing, for batch analytics, right? So here in brief about this Azure Synapse Analytics, you can just check with this course content. In brief, in depth, along with you will be getting total knowledge on the PySpark on the cloud environment, right? Yes. So coming back, offerings from my side. So here, data engineer will be discussing about Azure Data Factory, no prerequisites, no coding, zero coding ETL tool, everything drag and drop. I said for Azure Databricks, it is code based. We'll be writing code here, not a huge codes, but simple codes using Python and Spark coding, simple codings. And also in brief about this data frame API, the Azure Databricks and PySpark, right? It has got a great demand in today's industry, right? It adds a lot of weightage to your resume, and also even if you want to demand for the salary packages, you can, if you have got a good command on this Databricks and PySpark. 1.5 times more than the other technologies, means the salary packages I'm talking, right? Azure Synapse Analytics and Fabrics introduction. These things I'll be discussing in brief, right? Data, Azure Data Factory, Azure Databricks, PySpark, Azure Synapse Analytics, and Fabrics. So generally here, 4 courses are involved: Azure Data Factory, Databricks, PySpark, Azure Synapse Analytics. So we'll be taking time. The time duration for this will be sparing like 3 months of time. The duration for this course is 3 months. We'll be discussing for 3 months all these things. Also, we'll be getting knowledge on this Azure Data Lake. You'll be getting knowledge on this Azure Data Lake, Azure SQL, and streaming. These are the main discussions. Along with that, you'll get Data Lake, Azure SQL, and Azure streaming. Offerings from my side, each and every session video you'll be getting with clear soft copy of these notes, assignments and tasks to work with, a WhatsApp group for technical discussions. If you got any errors, you can take snap and post there. Interactive hands-on sessions, interview questions, around 200 questions, interview questions on Azure Data Engineering, resumes. And apart from that, this is offerings from my side. From the DURGASOFT side, whenever you enroll for this course, they are giving a 5,000 worth video access to Unix, Linux shell scripting, around 120 videos of the Durgasir, right? Mr. Durga, and SQL videos also, upload 35 videos. And people who doesn't have knowledge on this Python, like basic Python videos, like 30 videos will be provided. MySQL videos, Unix, Linux videos, and also you'll be getting videos of all this Azure Data Engineering, right? Every day, one video will be added to your Google Drive. So tomorrow a WhatsApp group will be created. You will be added to the WhatsApp group tomorrow. And from tomorrow onwards, you'll be getting the videos to your Google Drive, notes to your mails. So tomorrow the link will be changed. You are supposed to get enrolled for getting the link to your mail. See, you can see a big message in the chart, Zoom chart, right? A big message in the Zoom chart. So the payment details, contact details of the online team. You can see if anyone missed, see the course content, you can see demo video means last two sessions, demo videos. If anyone missed the demo video, demo sessions of yesterday only, sorry. Yesterday and today are the demo sessions, right? If anyone missed yesterday's session, right, you can go through that demo video link that is provided, and contact details of the online team. You can see the payment details, GPay and Google Pay, Phone Pay details, and the account details, right? And there is a clear indicate. There's one note given, right? Generally, send your screenshot of your payment to the mail ID that is provided. Then only they'll be forwarding the link for tomorrow's class. If you got enrolled, just not just you need to send the screenshot of your payment details to the mail ID that is provided. Then only they'll forward you the link to that, right? Tomorrow there is a session as a continuity, not all the Saturdays. Tomorrow there is a session, same time at 7 o'clock, 7 to 8. More discussion tomorrow, just introduction to this Azure Data Factory, building blocks of ADF that will be discussed. Yes, these are the offerings from my side. Any other queries you got, anyone? You can just check with your queries. So all the sessions are interactive, hands-on. If you want to do the task along with me parallel, you can do it. So here everything admin and development means mostly our discussion will be development related, but still when you step into the company, right, there you can directly work with this with the practical. But here we need to set up the things, right? We need to set up the things. So how we can set up the things, everything step by step I will be showing you, where you will be getting knowledge on both, right? Yes. Any other queries you got?
Sir, this is Arif, sir.
Yeah, go ahead. All right.
Uh, you mentioned in the earlier, like every organization hiring two people, like one is data engineer and one is data scientist.
Mhm.
So the organization is hiring for every project, or all the organization having only two people, sir?
Generally, data engineer is required, data scientist is required.
Okay.
Data engineer, data scientist. So data engineer like deals with all this data related, creating data warehouse, all these things is required, right? Compulsory data engineer, data scientists are required. So data engineers generally they will handle the data, they will play with the data. They are going to extract the data, they are going to prepare the data, filter the data, processing, transform as per the business requirement in what format and how you want to transform it. They'll be handling all those things. Later, after the processing, right? Next, later comes this data scientist. He's going to analyze, he's going to predict, he's going to cluster or classify them, and just to going to kind of recommendations he can provide for the future, right? Strategizes for the future things. So generally, that handling of the data, processing, everything taken care by data engineers only. A typical data scientist also, if you say, they will be dependent on data engineer for the data side. So data engineer has to provide the data as per what data scientist is expecting in what format he need to provide the data, right? He need to take the data, pull the data from various branches, from various OLTP systems. He need to pull it to one place, and from there he need to process as per the business logic, and he need to process and final results. On that results, this data analysts or the data scientists, they are performing analysis, and data analysts, they are going to provide some kind of visualizations, presentations, reports, all these things, right?
Sir, in organization there are different type of products out there. So each product having data engineer and data scientist, or all two people are enough for all the organization.
Not two people. Just I'm saying an example. Data engineer and data scientist required means not two people. Data engineering, many data engineers will be there. For every multiple data engineers will be there.
Sir, in Databricks, only require Python language, or SQL also includes, sir?
See, basic SQL, basic Python is required. Basic SQL means just creating table, inserting, updating those things, right? Not in brief, in depth on this SQL.
Yeah, you
Basic SQL. If you see one thing, first we will be discussing about Azure Data Factory, which doesn't require any prerequisites. It takes around 25 days for discussing this Azure Data Factory component, right? Meanwhile, within this 25 days, if we doesn't have knowledge on this SQL, these videos of MySQL and basic Python videos will be provided. You can just check with that. So before we start with Azure Databricks, even before I start with Azure Databricks, just for 2 sessions, like I'll be taking the syntaxes of Python. It looks like normal English statements. It's not like a complex thing, right? So Databricks, even if you see, go through the videos and get some exposure on this Python, basic SQL before we start with the Azure Databricks, right? Yes. Hmm. Basics is enough, not in brief about those.
So you mentioned like a cluster kind of things out there. So we need to know the Windows administration side also, like Windows cluster, database clusters.
See, whenever you are going like Azure professional, Azure data engineer professional, no need to know about all those things. So everything in the cloud side, everything are invisible. As I said, on-premises things, you need to maintain all those things. Means hardware team, operating system team, networking team, all those are required. But once you go to the cluster, just hardly it takes 2 minutes for you to create those things. 2 minutes is enough, right? How many systems you want? You need to provide that option. I want the 10 systems or 20 or 30 to create it. Automatically it creates it. In cloud it is very simple, but on premises it takes its time take. But here whatever we are discussing is cloud related. It will be simple, right? So Windows, those things not required. So everything in the cloud looks very simple. And I am talking about if I talk about the job market also, I was saying, right? So most of the companies, they are shifting towards Azure, and in turn increasing the number of job opportunities for Azure data engineers, right? And regularly they need in professionals who can work on this Azure and handle huge data, big data, right? Even I was talking about the pay scales. Data engineers has got the highest average salary package as closely as data scientists. The two highest paying jobs in this current industry, right? Data scientist and data engineers has got the highest paying jobs. When the topmost companies, right? They're hiring these people, companies like they say Facebook, Intel, Microsoft, Amazon, they're hiring data engineers with great packages. Even tech giants like Google, Apple, Cognizant, Walmart, all they are offering high paying jobs for these data engineers. The same way, then you need to have some technical exposures, command on these technicals of these things, right? So you'll be gaining all this in our course, right? Yes.
then in real time the work is routinable, or every time it is creating a new, like in development, .NET development, we have to create new things, something like that.
New things in the sense.
Yeah, every time we have to create in a new way, in any, like a routine work is out there.
So
Like
generally here we'll be creating some kind of pipelines and notebooks creations, right? Pipelines will be developing a lot of pipelines or lot notebooks we'll be creating, right? So this is for ETL, kind of ETL will be performing here, pulling the data from different sources, from Azure cloud or other cloud, or from on-premises databases. You can pull the data and you can transform or processing the data using Apache Spark based upon the business logic implementation. All these things will be discussed. This everything new here. So everything step by step we'll be discussing. It's from the ground level to the advanced level we'll be discussing, right? Only thing is attending the sessions regularly, interacting in the class, and doing the things. If you want, you can do that practicals parallelly along with me and asking the queries, right? Yes. You will get full command on this data engineering. One, I said data engineering is a which has got high boom in today's industry. And having knowledge on this Spark with also with cloud knowledge. Adding Apache Spark, even this PySpark has got a great demand. Even I said you can command or demand for the salaries, right? If you have got a good command on this Spark and adding some cloud knowledge to it. The two here we are using Azure Cloud.
all the three things are one, sir, like a PySpark, Apache Spark, and a Spark. All of them one, or
See, Apache Spark is the main processing execution model. It can be implemented in language like Python. Spark can be implemented in multiple languages like Python, Scala, Java. Java is never preferred because of huge coding. Python and Scala languages are preferred, but today in the industry, Python is mostly preferred. Previously, Scala was preferred in 2016, 17, 18, 19, right?
Yes.
But now Python is mostly preferred because of this. Python is providing many modules for this analytics, right? That's why we say Spark with Python, PySpark we say. Any other queries? So from tomorrow we'll start. See, even if you miss any session, you'll be getting the recording. So it's a Monday to Friday. The sessions will be Monday to Friday. Sometimes I'll be taking on Saturdays, not all the Saturdays. So even if you miss any session, you'll be getting the session video just to go through the video and attend the next session for better understanding. Only regularity and doing the practicals, it will looks very simple and easy to understand the things, right? Yes. Any other queries, right, from anyone? Right.
Sir, we need to subscribe the Azure account, sir. Or I don't have any credit card, something like that.
You have debit card, right?
Yes, yeah.
Debit card also these days it is allowed. You can get free subscription.
For
Either if you got Master or Visa card, debit card.
SBI debit card, it is not taken, sir. Yes, last week I tried that.
If you have got anything like, is it a Master or Visa?
I think it's MasterCard.
Mastercard will be accepted.
Okay.
So generally, not all the banks, some of the banks it is accepting, right? But credit card like Master and Visa cards will be accepted. You can get what is that? Free Azure subscription. Even not only yours, right? If any of your parents or brothers, and if you have got any credit card, you can make use like around 17,000 rupees credits will be added. 17,000 rupees credits will be added freely for the first 1 month, right? You can work on it.
Okay.
Even if you doesn't get free subscription, even you can go with pay as you go. What you need to do if you want to get very less bill, very less bill, how you do, and what you need to delete after you do the practicals, what you need to delete and what you need to do, I'll be saying with so that you will get very less total month like 400 like that. You will be getting the bill, right? Otherwise, you can go with free subscriptions, right? Debit cards or credit cards are accepted. It will just deduct only 2 rupees from you, totally free for 1 month. Okay, fine. Any other queries? So if I'm done with the queries, if there are no other queries, I'm signing off for now. Meet you tomorrow, 7 p.m. same time using the different link. Link will be changed. So get enrolled for getting these notes, videos, and getting added to the WhatsApp group, right? Yes. Thank you all for your time. Thank you. Meet you tomorrow. Bye. Bye.